we need to talk about VOLA. This isn't a reaction video, this isn't a drum cover, this is just me sitting down and talking and raising some awareness about this brilliant band no one should miss seeing in concert this September. VOLA are a progressive metal / gent band from Denmark that are touring North America and the United States this September, opened by Wheel and Bent Knee, who I will get into in another video. But these guys are absolute musical songwriting geniuses within the genre, and it would be stupid to miss this concert if they're coming to your city. Definitely check and see if they're going to play near you within the next month. Let me tell you why you should do that. I've never in my life heard a band that blends beautiful and touching, vulnerable sections with hard-hitting, brutal, genty riffs like these guys do. They're the perfect balance of empty space, hard-hitting beauty with very catchy choruses, peak melodies, incredible harmonies and bridges. It embraces you like a warm hug, and it shakes you around as well. They're a band that have grown to become quite possibly my favorite ever. The drummer, Adam Janzai, is the heart of the band. His grooves are so subtle, yet so unique, and perfectly complement what the band's doing. You can always tell when you watch him play how into the music he is, and you can just tell he'll be a brilliant live performer to anchor them down. Asger, the singer and guitarist, is an absolute genius in most of their songs, playing riffs in a completely different time signature from what he's singing. Bass tone is always perfect and crunchy and so full with this band. I've done some experimenting with pulling in and out certain elements of songs, muting certain instruments, isolating to really figure out their sound, and without the bass, their songs sound incredibly flat, more than other bands without it. The bass is such heart for all of their songs. Some of the best riffs I've ever heard in my life completely opened me up to this new angle of progressive music, these fall riffs with uplifting tendencies, something that I never really thought I would hear, and I've only heard elsewhere with Carmen Jaka. Incredible genty riffs sections, but also their choruses, their bridges, their verses. So many of their songs feel happy and hopeful within this metal scene that is almost impossible to find without it feeling corny or overdone, oversaturated. It feels meaningful and emotional, like they're trying to make you feel better, and it's not just there to be playful and fun, which is okay, but for a deeper, richer musical experience, they do it perfectly. They often use these warm bell kind of synths, lots of different layers of dynamic in the background. It just does so much to the feel of their music. They are just an absolutely brilliant band with a massive sound. If you listen to any of their songs in headphones, you'll understand that their sound is big enough to be filling out the biggest venues, huge stadiums. Seeing them in a tiny room feels criminal, and it is, but that sound is gonna absolutely blow you away in there. I'm seeing them on September 22nd at the Troubadour here in West Hollywood, Los Angeles, and it's going to be the best day of the year for me. And if you haven't heard of this band, if you need a way to get into them, if you're not sure why you should go, there really is something for everyone to pull on to in this band. And these are some of the best tracks to look at if you want to see all angles and directions that this band goes in. First track I want to discuss is Straight Lines. It is their top song as of now. It was the second single released off of their third album, The Witness, which has proven to really lift the band up to the forefront. Straight Lines is a perfect example of their complex songwriting that feels simpler than it actually is. It gives it just a hint of listenability. The opening riff is so genty, so powerful, and it hits so hard. It feels like it churns and wriggles in such an unconventional way, hitting downbeats at weird times. The actual riff itself is played in 6/8 with these syncopated notes. The drums go around it, following it with the kick, but the backbeat is in the 4/4, creating the polyrhythm right away. And then every now and then they reset it. Same with the verse, but they drop the guitars into the background and Asger's voice just shines through. And then they transition into this pre-chorus. Which builds up that slight hopeful feeling. It's euphoric. They give you that pause, and then the key change in the chorus hits you immediately, something they do brilliantly. Seamless key changes that completely change the mood of the song. And this is easily one of the best choruses I've ever heard. You're running low on straight lines. You're running low on good signs. You're running low, they think the soul will flow. When I first heard it, I wasn't quite sure about the synths in the background, but I've grown to love it more than anything. You can never resist singing this song once you've heard it enough, and that chorus is going to absolutely blow the lights out live. Everyone in there singing along. It's so powerful and so catchy. I could leave this house, but I won't. There's an echo that seems to live on. 24 footprints of tape, 24 light years remain. 24 Light Years is another single off of their latest album, but it shows a completely different perspective and side of their music. It's much more delicate and atmospheric. It builds intensity and power throughout the whole song. The opening drum groove by Adam is one of the coolest and most unique things you'll hear in their entire discography. I've never heard a beat built around a song so well. The little triplet rolls off of the hi-hat with the stacks is an incredible groove, one that I'm still trying to figure out. And those arpeggiated synths just going in the background, getting ever louder through the whole song. Just those 16th notes slowly building up. Those lush keyboards in the background do everything to this song, and it's an absolutely beautiful piece of music. Once they transition seamlessly into that chorus once again, it just washes over you. Again, one of their absolute best choruses, one that builds an intensity through the whole song. When they change up the groove to that open hi-hat with the double bass, it opens up even more. The music video for the song is incredible too, and you absolutely feel like you're in space or underwater, either or, for this kind of song. It's another one that you cannot resist singing to once you've heard it enough times. They break off into the bridge with that somewhat uplifting but also melancholic feeling riff that just warms you. It chugs itself along, and it feels more appropriate to sway to it than to even bob your head. The way he sings it up and down through that bridge, it almost feels like a lullaby, like he's trying to put you to sleep. And then they blast you off into the atmosphere once again with that final chorus. This song is truly unique, it's truly beautiful. It's catchy without being overdone. It's still complicated, and this is a song that I think you could really show anyone. their sophomore album, Applause of a Distant Crowd, which happens to be my favorite from the band and one of my favorite albums ever. The opening track, We Are Thin Air, is a perfect example of how they masterfully wrote an uplifting fall song. That opening groove with the chunky guitars and those little accents on the hi-hat draw you in perfectly, and it fills you with a sense of optimism. Then they slide you straight into this groove, which is soaked in these warm synths and give you that uplifting feeling right away. It's amazing what an ascending scale or arpeggio can do with some light synth work in a metal song. The energy it gives you just brightens instead of darkens. And the chorus in this song is a perfect example of them using those warm bell synths to just add an extra layer of atmosphere and dynamic to the song. I'm lost in starlight in your ear. I'm the final one to interfere in a trembling picture. We are thin. It completely makes the chorus and feels so dreamy and so angelic, something you've never heard before. They play around with time signatures in the song well, and the way it moves around. You can't always find the beat, but it's a perfect song to get lost in. The bass tone is rich and beautiful. It's not their heaviest, and it's definitely a summer song that can keep a smile on your face. Their song Ruby Pools off of the same album is a complete steer off of the heavy path and is one of the best ballads I've ever heard. That constant arpeggiated piano riff through the whole song is just slightly off kilter. It never quite repeats the same way or hits the downbeat each time, and it just moves in the most incredible way. Another incredible, unique drum pattern by Adam with the stacks, the thrash cymbal, the hi-hat, the way he just adds little notes and details, little accents here and there, just bring the song so much life. It feels like it's crawling forward until it all spills out into the waterfall of a chorus. We are the lonely kids falling away from this tedious wall of bliss inside. We're in a ruby pool, left with a kingdom rule, shining without a jewel in life. Asghar has a way of singing that makes it feel like you're in a fairy tale at times, or like you're flying. The synth work in the song is absolutely beautiful. It adds such a layer and makes the soundscape 10 times bigger. The guitar solo at the end is a perfect example of VOLA paying attention to their craft. I can only count about 3 guitar solos in their entire discography, and none of them are overdone. It's a very minimalist solo, and each note is played with a purpose. It perfectly complements the song and rounds it out in the most beautiful way possible. Looking for a beautiful song to enjoy at the end of your summer, look no further than Ruby Pools by VOLA. Owls is quite possibly my favorite song from the band, and it's them at their absolute songwriting peak. It is the perfect mix of every single element of their discography and an even better mix of beauty and heaviness. The first 30 or so seconds of the song lure you in with this deep, low humming synth that just weaves its way in and out, and then they drop you in with a massive djenty riff. They then bring in the synths, make it even heavier, and toy around with the time signatures before spiraling into this verse that showcases all of Asgard's vocal diversity and one of many examples of him using a vocal effect to bring out the meaning of the song. After throwing in a few more riffs, they slowly start to strip away elements of the heaviness and the feeling of impending doom that the beginning of the song had. They move into this section with just a few jabs of the djent guitars, and then they transition into the pre-chorus where the bass takes the center stage, those warm bell synths coming back into play. After a few rounds of that, the beauty really starts to sink in, and we transition into one of my favorite moments in any song ever. She is still dreaming. The piano section that comes in feels like you're coming through a dark forest and you open into a clearing with a waterfall and a rainbow. It's one of the most beautiful passages I've ever heard in music and probably my favorite part of any VOLA song. And just when you think it can't get any better, they bring it up and turn it into a riff for the climax of the song before dropping back down into it to fade out. It is a masterpiece of a song. Houses, water, I Am Not Here off of their second EP has just some of the craziest riffs I've ever heard in my life. The opening riff smacks you in the face right at the start, and then they drop you down into this haunting, ominous verse that feels like there's a heart beating in the background. It keeps you on edge and it keeps you tense. VOLA are great at filling you with one emotion and then washing in another one to completely change the direction, and they do that with those warm bells again. The chorus in the song is one of their most beautiful and one of their most vulnerable. It feels like a lullaby once again. It feels like they're trying to put you to sleep. I believe in you. There's a simple story. We will make it through. Don't you ever worry. I believe in you. There's a simple story. They drop you back into this dark dream state, pure blackness during the verses. They build you up again after the second chorus and drop you down into an obscene breakdown. time signature during it still trips me up. The rhythms and the way they are able to think of this is just brilliant to me. And the entire outro of the song is so heavy, so pungent, and so raw. It's still one of their best songs, even though it's one of their earliest. It really displays their gent qualities in a perfect way, with some complex moments, technical songwriting, incredible drumming. I know I've tried to play it, and it is not an easy song. It just shows that their discography is so consistent all the way through. And now, if you do know the band, or if you're just starting to discover them, I urge you to go see this concert. I have never seen them live. I am anticipating and expecting it to be a life-changing experience for me, just based on what I know about the band, what I've seen, what I've discovered. Even just with the kind of people they are, I know they care a lot about what they do, and they're going to put on an absolutely massive show. Lots of energy, lots of power, and lots of genuine feeling. And going to see a band like that is so powerful, so emotional, and so unique is just criminal for just $50. It's an absolute no-brainer to go see them for such a cheap price. I really don't understand how this kind of thing works, how certain artists can charge so much for their concerts, hundreds, thousands of dollars, and sometimes it doesn't even feel like a genuine experience. But in these smaller venues, when you can get right up with them and feel the music and feel the passion they're putting into it, it's gonna be special. This is their second North American tour, but it is their first time on Western soil, and a lot of new states are being added. So if it's their first time in your state, I'm sure they'll put on an even better show as well. They just put out a single too called Paper Wolf that I think is one of their best songs. It absolutely blew my mind. I have a reaction to it up. If you haven't heard that song, go check it out as well. There's definitely potential for them to surprise and play some new stuff as well. So I'm hoping to see that. But if this hasn't convinced you, just trust me on this one. Go see VOLA. Tell everyone you know to go see VOLA on this tour. They won't be disappointed. It will be an amazing, life-changing musical experience. You won't forget it. There will be a video on my experience at the concert and what I think after. I hope it reflects this, but for now, go check out this band. They're incredibly underrated, and we'll be back for more on the opening band Wheel. Until next time.